Hey everyone, welcome to Locked On Lakers for Tuesday. Brian Kamenetsky, Andy Kamenetsky. Could LeBron make his debut Tuesday versus Utah? That's next.
You are Locked On Lakers, your daily Los Angeles Lakers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks to everybody for making Locked On Lakers your first listen of every day. Andy, of course, part of the #1 podcast network in this or any other universe, the Locked On Network. We appreciate you guys tuning in on a daily basis, whether you're getting it through Apple iTunes, whether you're getting it through Spotify or other podcasting platforms. Perhaps you are a YouTube subscriber, like 37,000 other people who are checking out the show on YouTube, often when we go live. And so we appreciate everyone doing all that stuff, Andy. It's a big day. It is Tuesday. It is the day that LeBron James might make his season debut with the Lakers. He practiced again, this time with the Lakers in full on Monday. And it's just sort of waiting around to see how he feels on Tuesday. But either way, Andy, we are assuming no setbacks, very close to having the Lakers as conceived finally take the floor.
Yeah, it's not even just LeBron, who it had been well reported the Lakers had planned on him practicing in full on Monday. Gabe Vincent actually practiced with the team as well. So Rui and Marcus Smart, who both missed Saturday's win in Milwaukee, they're not even on the injury report. JJ Redick said he expected them both to play during Monday's practice, which I attended. We'll get into some details of what I saw, what was said and all that. But JJ noted that this was the first time forget this season, like the first time in a while that he's had just his full group together practicing. It's kind of crazy that it took until, a little past mid-November for that to take place. But this was all bodies present and accounted for. And you could tell that JJ, you could tell Austin Reaves, who was put in front of us, and you could tell that LeBron were all very excited about this.
Yeah, it is, in the fact that the Lakers have gotten to this point. We'll talk about what LeBron had to say and how likely it is that he does play on Tuesday, whether they should let him get one more game of rest. Given that the Lakers have they have no games between Tuesday and Sunday in Utah. A lot of practice and a lot of rest and time to get people right. The fact that the Lakers have reached this point at 10-4, I'm sorry, it's 10-4, 11-4 now, I think. And so 10-4, thank you. Don't want to presume a win.
Well, it is Utah that they're playing next, so.
But we'll talk about that but I just know LeBron for these 14 games. And you and I were, pretty accurate in trying to sort of project as to when he might take the floor, and we thought if he was back by mid to late November, that would be a win. Well, that's what it was. And but it's not just that they played without LeBron. They played multiple games without Luka. They played multiple games without Austin Reaves. Rui's missed a little bit of time. Like, guys have been in and out of the lineup.
Marcus Smart has missed games. Gabe Vincent, for all intents and purposes, has missed the whole season.
Right. And so they got to this point without a chance to play with their whole team. And now they get this, whether LeBron plays Tuesday or not, they get a little mini training camp almost here in the next, 2, 3, 4 days, where they can get guys back into rhythm, back, into playing each other. Like, there's a real opportunity here to kind of push forward in a very positive way at a time when, nobody wishes this, but, a couple teams in the West struggling with injuries. Victor Wembanyama is going to be out for a few weeks with a calf strain for the Spurs. Like, this is a time the Lakers can create a little separation between maybe the teams at the bottom of the 6 that don't have to do the play-in and themselves.
Yeah, in the meantime, though, LeBron did practice in full. He was made available for us. It's interesting. He talked about one of the things that he is still getting himself towards, other than just pain free. And there was a question he was asked. I don't remember exactly how it was phrased, but it alluded to the idea of being pain free or being close to it or something like that. And LeBron, in so many words, is like, slow down. We're not there yet. And, noted that every day with this, it's you wake up hoping not to feel it. You go to bed hoping not to feel it. And it's a day to day, hour to hour, minute to minute process trying to get himself back. He said in describing sciatica, that he would not wish this on anyone. Quote, if you ain't never had it, people are making jokes about it, I pray you never get it. It's not fun. Out of respect to LeBron, by the way, I have made the old man sciatica jokes. I am officially done doing that, hearing LeBron talk about this, unless, of course, just the scenario sets it up really well. And the joke writes itself because that is our job. We're supposed to be entertaining. But other than that, not making those jokes anymore, because you could see this really was a bleep for LeBron to get through. But other than his body feeling pain-free, hopefully sometime soon, he did note that he is still just getting like his wind back and getting, as he put it, his lungs back. His lungs feel like baby lungs.
He said he got little baby lungs, Andy.
Baby lungs right now. And he's looking to get his grown man lungs. And this is something I've talked about before. When you are getting yourself into conditioning, talking on the court is hard. And LeBron said that part of it today, barking out coverages, talking with his teammates, was difficult for him from a win perspective. It was difficult from a voice perspective. His voice sounded hoarse talking with us. He noted that tea and rest are on the slate for Monday night, but he looked good and he looked excited.
I look, there is some, I don't really think this is like widespread chatter. I think by now we know there are people who populate Lakers spaces who just don't like LeBron, and they don't want him to be a Laker. I know.
I have not heard of any of these
people. Hit the breaking news button. This just in. This just handed to me. Like, they're just people who don't like him. They don't want to be a Laker anymore. They don't want him around, Andy, and all of these things. That's fine. I don't have to agree with you about that. But that's it. The notion there is some effort in some circles to make the idea that the LeBron coming back is a bad thing for the team, that he's somehow going to make them worse. He's going to disrupt what they've built here. They're 10-4, Andy, because LeBron's gone, not, in spite of that. That's stupid.
No, they lost a couple of games on the road trip because they were preoccupied with the horror of him coming back.
Right.
Like, they kept hearing he's getting closer. He's working with the G League. It's like, oh, bleep, man. We're about to fall out of the playoff race. This sucks.
The end is nigh.
Yeah.
You're taking a guy.
Luka's going to demand a trade. This whole thing is going to go sideways.
You're taking a guy who is second team All-NBA last year, who is sixth in MVP voting, who is the original of Luka. I guess if Oscar Robertson is the original Swiss Army knife, and Luka is the current Swiss Army knife, LeBron is the one in the middle, and he can literally do and play any role that you need him to play on the floor. And by the way, Andy, at practice on Monday, said that he was perfectly willing to do those things. And we touched on, we can get into this a little bit in the next segment. We touched on it some last year. I do think, LeBron is very sensitive to the idea that he's going to come back and, make demands. I have to the ball, and this and that. And it's, like kind of Bigfoot, everything that they're doing here. But I also think people are forgetting a little bit of last year. LeBron, at 20-something years into the NBA, I think likes the opportunity to be given a different challenge, be given a different role, and all that kind of stuff. He's still going to do LeBron stuff, but I do think, like, when he had that thing, like, I got to go play defense after that Miami thing, and change my role a little bit on offense, Luka's going to handle some of the, like, I got the impression, at least, he kind of enjoyed that challenge.
I don't know. To be perfectly honest, I don't know.
Sure,
And
reading tea leaves too.
I don't. Well, I want to say I don't want to project LeBron's wants that could be just interpreted as stuff you and I found interesting and cool to watch for an all-time greats player arc. You know what I mean? Like the idea that we found this interesting to watch doesn't necessarily mean LeBron found it just as interesting to do. But what really matters is he did it willingly and effectively. Like, how much he was enjoying it. I hope the answer is a lot, because I would prefer LeBron enjoy what he's doing than not enjoy it. But the reality is, whether he loved it on a scale of 1 to 10 at a 1 or a 10, he did it really well. So in that sense, I don't know if it matters.
Well, that either way, I guess. But so it does raise a lot of questions. So whether LeBron comes back Tuesday, whether he comes back on Sunday, it certainly seems, barring a setback, it's going to be one of those two. What do the Lakers do, both with the starting lineup and then the rotation, especially if Gabe Vincent is ready to come back as well? We'll discuss those things next.
Locked on Lakers is brought to you by Rippling. If you are a business owner, here's the truth. SaaS promised to make work easier, but now the average company is buried by hundreds of apps that slow down your teams and simply don't work together. That's not SaaS, that's SAD, software as a disservice, not software as a service. That's why you need Rippling. Rippling is the unified platform for global HR, payroll, IT, and finance, all in one place. They've helped millions of businesses replace a mess of disconnected tools with one system designed to give leaders clarity, speed, and control. Rippling removes the bottlenecks and busy work that slow teams down. Everything from onboarding to payroll to IT access runs automatically and perfectly in sync. Right now, you can get 6 months free when you go to rippling.com/lockedonnba. Learn more at rippling.com/lockedonnba. That's rippling.com/lockedonnba for 6 months free.
Locked on Liquor is also brought to you by Prize Picks. You and I, Andy, we make decisions every day, but on Prize Picks, being right can get you paid. Don't miss any of the excitement of this sports season, whether you follow the NFL, the NBA, or both. There's no better time to jump in on the action. If you haven't tried it yet, Prize Picks is the simplest way to play. Just pick more or less on at least 2 player stats, and if you get them right, you win. It takes less than 60 seconds to make your lineup. You can play anywhere Prize Picks operates. That includes California, Texas, and Georgia. You can use Prize Picks during football Sundays and NBA tip-offs. It keeps every game exciting. You can use the new Stacks feature. It's a game changer. You can now pick more on Steph's points, threes, and assists in the same lineup. So you're stacking up one player in multiple categories. And this is critical if one of your players leaves the game early with an injury. The injury reboot saves your lineup from a loss. So download the Prize Picks app today and use code LOCKEDONNBA to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONNBA for $50 in lineups after your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. So Andy, C. Stovall on the chat asks, what happens when LeBron comes back? What are they going to do, Andy, with the starting lineup? Does Rui go to the bench? Does he start Reaves with Smart and Luka and Ayton? What do you think happens, I guess, both in the short and the long run here? Because the Lakers really do have a choice to make here, first and foremost with the starting lineup, and we'll get to the rest of the rotation in a minute.
We'll get to all that in a second. I wanted to make sure, though, to point this out, just because with LeBron's health, just because I thought it was interesting. When LeBron was talking about sciatica and how much it sucks and how uncomfortable it is, he also noted that he had sciatica in 2023, that it's actually a second time dealing with it. And I asked him, just to clarify, I'm like, did you play with sciatica in 2023? And he said, no, this was after the season ended, in the off season. And I preface this by saying this is speculative on my part. I'm obviously not an expert on sciatica, doctor, all that stuff.
Is it? Do you think it's obvious?
Yes.
I don't.
Well, for anyone who's not an idiot, I think it is obvious. But now that you know as well, with the sciatica, that LeBron happened to get sciatica in the 2023 offseason, which was the longest playoff run that the Lakers have had that didn't involve a 3 to 4 month break preceding it, referencing obviously the bubble. And, the season stopped in March, began again, I don't know, August or September, something like that. But they had that long layoff. That playoff run ended up longer, but with more of a rest. I found it interesting that the time LeBron dealt with sciatica in the offseason may, and I can't say for sure, but I don't think it's outlandish to at least wonder if it was connected to what was a pretty tough Western Conference playoff run, and wondering if nothing else, if that's something for them to keep an eye on in terms of his overall workload and the things that they ask of him, things they don't ask him, and maintenance stuff like that. I just found that interesting.
I'll be honest, at this point, I don't think why he had it before is, they're already going to be, and this gets to my question about, we'll get to the rotation here in a second, I guess, but it gets to my question of like whether or not you'd give him one more day. Like, he practiced and, again, he's been practicing with South Bay. So like, but to your point, they're going to be incredibly careful with LeBron for the rest of the season. Like I don't think it has, I don't, whether you can make connections to the previous time he had sciatica to now, I don't know, maybe he's just covering for the whole golf thing. I'm not sure. But like, I don't think any of that really matters because he's dealing with it now. And as LeBron said, it's not a, you're cured kind of thing. You go to bed, you wake up, it can flare up, it can flare down. And they're going to be incredibly mindful, I think, for the rest of the season, regardless of what caused it the first time.
To answer that question of whether, I don't know what they should do in the sense of they know what's going on better, but in terms of whether I would have him play tomorrow, Tuesday, I should say, whether they play Tuesday or wait till Sunday, I would say if he feels fine, let him play. Because the truth is this could end up flaring up at any point anyway. So if that's the case, you could be cautious enough that you wait till December, then January, and you could wait all this time. It could end up flaring up again, and it could end up sidelined.
Oh, so, yeah, I just mean from between here and Sunday. It tells me if he does decide to play tomorrow, it actually gives, or Tuesday, it gives me a reasonable sense of confidence, just because I do think the Lakers are going to be, because they're going to be very careful. And I think quite frankly, listening to LeBron, I think wants to play, but he also understands, like, I don't want to be dealing with this any more than like you sort of have to for the rest. I do not want this to become back to square one. So that tells me if he's on the floor Tuesday, that they are pretty confident that this is as good as it's going to be. And like, we could wait 5 days, like you say. It's not going to be any different in 5 days, 10 days, 2 weeks. We can go now. And I that makes me feel a little better about it.
Well, I'll take it a step further. I don't think that they would have put LeBron in front of us anyway and made such a big deal out of him returning to practice had they not felt reasonably confident that at minimum we may be reaching this is as good as it gets. I got the sense being there that unless LeBron wakes up Tuesday morning feeling like crap, he's going to play. It felt to me like they were obviously promising nothing. JJ said that he and Gabe were TBD. They're both officially listed as questionable. I got a sense like they were preparing for him to play. LeBron was preparing himself to play. Unless there really is a setback, I could picture him playing versus the Jazz and only playing, say, 25 minutes.
Oh, I don't think he's minutes. Yeah, more than that. Yeah.
But short of a setback, I would be more surprised if he didn't play than if he did, simply because, again, they've kind of made a thing of this. And I realize there's no way to have LeBron do his first practice without it being a thing with him for the first time in his entire career, which is in and of itself crazy. This is the first time in his entire career that he's missed an opening game. Like, entering season 23, that in and of itself is kind of mind-blowing. But I just feel like they're setting the stage for this, and both the Lakers and LeBron are entities very conscious of stage setting. So I would be surprised if he doesn't play, again, short of a setback, which at that point just becomes concerning.
Right. And, it's one of these things, like, I don't think it is the Jazz. Like, are the Jazz good? They are not. Are the Jazz the Brooklyn Nets? They're not that either. I mean,
they're not that far off from the Brooklyn Nets.
They're a lot better than the Nets.
I mean, they're 3-7 in their last 10 games. They're not very good.
They've won 5 games, which makes them a lot better than the Nets are. Catastrophic.
I know that.
My point, but you got to they have enough good players on that team that you have to show up and play a game. And the Lakers learned in Atlanta. They've had other moments like over the course of the season, certainly going back to last year, that you can let teams that aren't as good as you stick around.
Sure.
And they didn't play a good first half against Charlotte, and that could have turned into something worse. You got to play.
I mean, more just if they take this seriously, Utah can't.
If they come up and show up and play, they should beat Utah. But I don't think it's as much of a layup as maybe some other teams, other games might be. You certainly need to take the game seriously, is what I'm getting at. So the idea that you would sit LeBron because it's Utah, I don't buy. I think you got to go play the games and put your best team on the floor if your best team can play. Who would be in the starting lineup, though, assuming LeBron re-enters it? And a couple people have asked, like, LeBron wouldn't come off the bench, would he, for that first game? I don't think so, but you're making a face that says maybe he would. So we'll get to it next.
Locked on Lakers is brought to you by Robinhood, and your ambition has just met its match. With Robinhood, you play for the win, not just on game day, every day, locking in on every opening, beating your PR, beating it again. Channel that drive into your money. Robinhood puts you in control of your money. Trade stocks and ETFs, options, futures, and crypto, all on one platform. You can now build and execute your own trades from a desktop with Robinhood Legends advanced tools, or take advantage of the new Robinhood strategies with a tailored portfolio managed by a team of experts. You expect more from yourself, expect more from your money. Get started today at Robinhood.com/yourmoney. Again, that's Robinhood.com/yourmoney. Your money, your move.
Locked on Lakers also brought to you by Rougiette. Let's be real, making excuses doesn't solve anything. We've all heard them before. It's just stress. I'm tired. It happens to everyone sometimes when it comes to performance. Sometimes your body just needs a little extra support, and that's where Rougiette comes in. Rougiette.com offers fast-acting, doctor-prescribed treatments for ED designed to help you stop making excuses and start making moves. Rougiette makes it easy to get started. You just connect with a board-certified doctor 100% online. No awkward waiting rooms, no in-person appointments. And if prescribed, your treatment ships discreetly straight to your door. The process is fast, simple, and private, and it's all handled by real doctors. It's about confidence, connection, and getting back to the moments that matter. Visit Rougiette.com. It's RUGIET.com/LockedOnNBA to get 15% off your first order. Again, RUGIET.com/LockedOnNBA. And don't forget to use our code LockedOnNBA so they know that we sent you. Rougiette, stop making excuses and start making moves. I don't want to get too far because I actually want to talk about who is, eventually LeBron is going to start. Do you think he could actually come off the bench Tuesday?
I don't think it's likely. Here's why I wouldn't rule it out altogether. LeBron has only come off the bench twice in his entire career. Once was in Cleveland as a way of essentially being a great teammate and a meat shield for Anderson Varejao. Varejao had been some type of long, protracted contract or contract dispute with the Cavaliers, re-upping, whatever it was. But when he finally was going to make his debut, there was concerns that the Cavalier fans were going to boo him at home. So LeBron actually came off the bench with the idea of they're not going to boo me when I get introduced. So I will essentially offer some protection to Andy Varejao, which again, being an awesome teammate. The only other time was in 2023 with the Lakers. LeBron was coming back from a month out with that right foot soreness. Remember when he was having foot issues and went and saw the LeBron James of feet, all of that stuff. So there is a precedent of LeBron having been out for a while at this stage of his career, coming off the bench specifically as a ramp up from being injured for a while. Again, it's not what I'm betting on, but that is the reason why I wouldn't rule it out altogether.
Fair enough. But assuming at least by Sunday, he'll be back in the starting lineup, what changes? Because obviously somebody's got to come out. Marcus Smart has been in the starting lineup with Rui Hachimura. There's no longer space for both of those guys because Deandre Ayton is going to start, LeBron is going to start, and folks, Austin Reaves is going to start. And there's also Luka. So who do you, I think both of us have said it makes more sense to us to have Marcus Smart in the starting lineup. Who do you think will start?
I think it's going to be Marcus Smart. I could be wrong, and maybe this is me wish casting what I want. But as much as I think JJ really values and appreciates what Rui has done this season, and he has talked up Rui a lot in terms of the scoring efficiency, his ability to shoot at this efficient of a level, despite sometimes going long periods of time without the ball. And JJ values shooting, and Rui is the only guy he's the only guy among the rotation players shooting above 33% from behind the arc right now. Do you happen to know who the next in line behind Rui is off the top of your head?
Of guys shooting, what was the percentage?
It's Rui shooting something like 50-ish% from behind the arc. The next guy in terms of rotation players is shooting 33%. I believe it's 33 last I looked.
I would say Luka or AR.
Jake LaRavia.
Oh, good for him.
Luka is shooting a little under 33%. Austin is around 32%, I believe. Maybe it's changed.
I was pretty close.
Maybe it's changed.
Marcus Smart's shooting, lower than that.
Right. And that my point being, if you remove Rui, you are hurting the spacing. Although LeBron's return, kind of underrated part of it, they need, at least of his three-point shooting of the last couple seasons, they actually really need it. Austin's at 33 now, so I guess he's tied with Jake. But LeBron's return will help some of that spacing, but the truth is, if you take Rui out, you are losing a pretty fundamental element of the offense. But I just keep coming back to the idea that if you have a starting lineup of Luka, Austin, LeBron, Rui, DeAndre Ayton, there is so much defensive imbalance. And you have four guys who are best equipped to guard anywhere from big threes to centers. And Austin, as the only guy who, at least on paper, projects to guard twos, ones, smaller wings, which often leads to, particularly with the Lakers' propensity for, I think, too much switching, guys like Rui ending up guarding the twos and ones, the Stephs and Jaws and stuff like that of the world, where
even if they're not switching, you end up with situations like that.
Right. Even if they're not switching, somebody's got to do it. And I don't think it's in the best interest of them defensively. I think they need Rui's punch off the bench. The Lakers are currently dead last in bench points, bench field goal attempts, and also bench minutes, because they're trying to play, other than LaRavia, all of them as little as possible. And I think there's just more scoring options spread throughout 48 minutes and the combinations if you play Rui off the bench This is not a demotion of Rui. Rui has done nothing wrong. He's been really good. His minutes need to stay high. Everybody's going to go down a little bit because LeBron's returning, and that's a good thing. But it's not about anything Rui's doing wrong. It's about, I think, what's more needed in the first unit, and frankly, what's needed more in the second unit.
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't disagree. And like Rui, the good thing about Rui, in terms of the offense is, he doesn't get to do as much if LeBron is there. I mean, I think that's pretty obvious, but he's not a guy who needs 100 shots. Like, he can go a long time. JJ's made a point out of this all season long. Like, Rui's really good at going long stretches without touching the ball, certainly without shooting the ball, and still taking like the shot when it's there and performing in that way. So, that part of it is okay. It's early season. The numbers can be misleading, and there's a lot of noise in early season stats, but you can just sort of see some of the issues that are there, at least early on, with some of the data on Ayton and Rui as a pairing. And it's not, and when you add LeBron to that, it doesn't get better. Like, the things that you would go like, I wonder if that combination works is going to work. Like, it's not going to, you wouldn't think it would work better when you add another player that pushes Rui even further into a place of discomfort defensively. That said, you said, like, it's not a demotion. It's not that. Tell that to Rui. And so I do think there is a reasonable chance. And if I were a betting man, which I am not, but if I was, I actually would say, I just got a feeling he'll keep Rui in the starting lineup.
He might. He certainly might.
But like, the optics work two ways on this. Like, if you just make the switch, you could argue that it's optically better because you're just doing it, and you're not giving it something a chance to fail. And then theoretically, it makes it look like you're blaming Rui by moving him out of the starting lineup. That would be the argument for doing it quickly. The flip side is you're taking a guy who's played very well, doing exactly what it is that you are asking him to do, and say what we can say it all day long. Guys in the league, when they're in the starting lineup and then they leave the starting lineup, see that as a demotion and a punishment.
Sure. Yes, I mean, I don't know if Rui would see it as a punishment, but I do think he would see it as, at the very least, a demotion of status. That I agree with you.
You're being,
punishment is too punitive because he truly has done nothing wrong.
Right. But like that's sort of
too well.
Like, all I'm doing is exactly what you tell me I'm supposed to do. And, it's a contract year,
Sure.
and all that kind of stuff. And all of these things, we live in the real world.
Yeah.
So I do.
I had this discussion directly to JJ's face about D'Angelo Russell when he was insisting to me that D'Lo and all other players don't care about this stuff. I'm like, no, they do.
No, they don't.
And because you played in the league, and I guarantee you cared.
Right. And he cared as a guy who was, often not a starter. Like, more of his career, he didn't start than did. If I think
I'll take a look right now.
But so there is that element of sort
a fair
of
amount.
He did. No, he played a lot of years as a starter, that sort of designated shooter spot, as a starting two. That's what I'm saying. I don't really know. He had a lot of times a 6-man, 7th-man, but then a lot of times in his prime as a starter.
940 games, started 488 of them. So, I mean, it's half the time. It's a fair amount, man. Yeah. It's a lot of starts.
Yeah, he knows. So he knows. I don't know what they're going to do. I think he would love to to just give it a try. Like, I think he would love to keep Rui in the starting lineup, kind of reward him for what the way he's been playing, which is imperfect, but very, very much be the star in your role and try to be better at some other things. And I think he's been a pretty good player in that regard. The only other thing too is I do think they are conscious of Marcus Smart's minutes. So if there was a sense that his minutes might have to go up to keep continuity in the starting lineup. Maybe that could impact it, how they do those things. I think they're going to try to be very protective of Smart. It's just a consideration. I don't necessarily think that would be a deciding factor. I just feel like, sort of the politics of sports are such that at the very least, JJ wishes there was a way to do it where Rui would start, even if he ends up starting Smart instead.
I don't disagree with you that they're likely going to be conscious of Marcus Smart's minutes. I just think you can do that while still starting him.
I think you probably can,
particularly if you're looking to keep Rui's minutes up. There's your automatic way of finding opportunities to take Smart off the floor. I mean, Bronny just started a game where he played like 9 minutes. So these things are possible.
And a lot of it depends too on, like, okay, not only obviously how much do we want to play LeBron on Tuesday, how much do we want to play LeBron night to night? Like, I think they would love, like, this really could be the year that they keep LeBron's minutes much closer to 30 than 35. 28, 29, 30, like, with an idea of, like, this needs to be
Sciatica can be a pretty good
possible.
Sciatica can be a pretty good come to Jesus catalyst.
Right. And you can start to crank that up in April, March, April, and stuff like that. But for the time being,
sure,
try to steal 6 minutes a night. Those can go back towards Rui and some other players. So we'll see. But either way, things looking up for the Lakers. We'll get more into what the rest of the rotation looks like over the course of the week, because there are going to be some folks who get squeezed. And how JJ Redick handles this going forward is certainly going to be an interesting challenge. So Locked On Lakers on YouTube is where we can go hang out with over 37,000 subscribers to the #1 podcast network's YouTube feed for this show, Locked On Lakers, hosted by us, Kamenetsky Brothers. We'll see everyone after the game.